Well, I knew what I was signing up for. Where to begin with the first sequel to the classic original film? 5 years on from Conor MacLeod defeating the Kurgan and claiming the prize, we were treated to this. In 1991, Highlander 2 The Quickening graced our screens and did its utmost best to eviscerate everything we loved about the original. It's one of the worst sequels ever made for a film, and I watched the director's cut. Supposedly, the theatrical version is shorter, weirder, and so much worse. The lore, the backstory, and the rules, gone. The Kurgan, gone. Ramirez is back from the dead. The Immortals now come from another world despite having no recollection of how they came to be in the first film. And that is just some of it. The film basically retcons everything we knew about Highlander and about the Immortals purely to try and squeeze more money from a franchise that didn't need a sequel. Conor MacLeod won the prize. He won. End of story. There was no other Immortals left, and he was rewarded with the gift of humanity and the ability to grow old and have children. That should have been the end of it, and in my eyes it still is. But here I am to examine this sequel regardless. Now, I will say this, my memory pegged this as being far worse than I found it to be this time around. Perhaps all those years ago I did see this shorter, non-director's cut version of the film, and it's still bad, there's no disputing that, but yeah, it's not as woefully bad as I expected. However, tell me why this is a Highlander film though. The year is 2024. Many years before this, pollution had destroyed the ozone layer, which meant the Earth was vulnerable to the rays of the sun. MacLeod helped build an electromagnetic shield that now protects the Earth, but it has now driven the world and mankind itself into darkness. Tell me any part of that sounds remotely like the original. I'll wait. Even the main phrase of "there can only be one" is thrown in at the end cheaply and undeserving. I'm getting mad the more I talk about it now. Some films just don't need sequels, and Highlander was one of them. And how on earth they managed to snag Sean Connery back here is beyond me. I tell you, his paycheck must have been about 10 times the budget of this film combined, and he was only here for about 15 minutes of screen time again. Not bad in the money-making department, I suppose, but you've forever engraved this film onto your credit list. Is that worth it? Plus, he dies from a fucking air vent. No badass fight scene or anything like that. Nope. He dies from a massive air vent. Go figure. And Katana? Geez, now there's comic book ridiculous, and then there's this. Michael Ironside even overreacts his breathing in the character. Over the top? Check. Inferior version of the Kurgan? Check. Just bad acting accompanied with a bad character. Doubly bad for Ironside's villain. Now, I'm sorry for the harsh words, I do like Michael Ironside, but he has been in some shockers over the years. Lake Placid 2, 3, 4, 10, whichever bloody one it was, is another real bottom of the barrel one. And then, of course, there's Why We're Here, this. I mean, look at this shit. It went on for a solid minute or so. I actually laughed out loud and said how awful it was, and it's not even awful funny. Some films you can laugh at how bad some bits are, but this bit I was laughing at it, not with it, and there's a difference. Christopher Lambert still gives his all, which I can admire, and Connery too brought that Scottish charm along with him. The two are the only reasons this score isn't even lower, and they do bump it up a tad, because I admit Connery's scenes brought a smile to my face as for how bewildered Ramirez was of all of his surroundings. He's kind of a little like me watching this film, apart from I'm actually annoyed about all the bizarreness and craziness I'm seeing, rather than him who's being all charming about it. Christ again, what a way for him to die though. Ugh.
There can be only one.
My overall verdict for Highlander 2 The Quickening, I will say, is tougher than I thought it would be. I was anticipating like a 2 and even a 1 crept into my thoughts before watching it, but it's not that woeful. In any case, I'm going with a 3 out of 10. A 4 maybe for some who enjoyed some small parts more than me. Most Highlander fans though, me included, will not acknowledge the existence of this film. For me, the journey ends after the first one, regardless of how many sequels, prequels, TV series, reboots or rehashes come in my direction. Am I being too harsh? I don't think so. The reason it's so low is because of how it butchers the lore and retcons so much from the original. I hate stuff like that, especially when the result turns out badly anyway. There's just no need. Ramirez and MacLeod were banished and exiled on Earth, only then to battle it out for the prize and choose either mortality and death or returning to where they came from. And it wouldn't even be so bad if the accompanying aspects were somewhat alright, but hell no, the score was barely audible in the film and nothing like the first one. There were no memorable tracks, the fight choreography was slow, the same moves were getting used, and overall it was just really subpar. The camera work felt very juddery and awkward. Even the final fight with MacLeod and Katana was over quickly and didn't really pique any interest in me. The special effects also bad, and again it's like they spent more money getting Connery on board with this sequel than investing that money into, I don't know, the film itself. Like I said, Lambert and Connery are the only two positives here, and sorry, I will take that back. Virginia Madsen's Louise was a good addition. Not a fan of the falling for MacLeod after getting within a metre of him instantly, mind you. The same problem I had kinda with Brenda in the first film actually in some retrospect, but she at least had a little bit of a build up to that. We had none here though. Oh hey, you're immortal and looking all young again. That'll do. Now aside from that part, everything else she was in was a positive addition. Her goals made sense in wanting to take down the Shield, and she was this leader of a little outlaw group because she fought for what she believed in. So you can add Louise into that positive column. Not like there's a whole lot in there though. Basically, it's just the actors, and that's some of them. Looking at you, Ironside, you ain't in there, sorry. Nearly forgot about John McGinley too, which was the man in charge of the Shield, but he was again over the top and pretty shitty, all I really gotta say about him. Interesting fact, Sean Connery has only ever played the same character in more than one film twice. Bond, of course, is his main one and the one he's remembered for. The other is this. Can you believe that? Sean Connery should have left it at that. They all should have left it at that. But if you want to watch any version of this at all, steer clear of anything that isn't the director's cut or what is sometimes known as the renegade version. I understand that in the theatrical one, the Immortals are referred to as aliens and come from the planet Zeist. Furthermore, half of the retcons aren't even explained. MacLeod fighting Katana in those two separate occasions are actually merged into one, and the special effects are even worse. I had to look this stuff up, like, what were the people who made that version smoking? All references of that are scrubbed in the director's cut, thankfully. Like, what the hell was that thing? I might have to try and locate it one of the days and come back with a re-review for just that particular edition. By the sounds of things though, I think that could be in the 1 out of 10 radius. Ugh. I'm going to end this there now, so that's 2 down and 2 to go. The Final Dimension and Endgame are the 2 remaining. Never managed to sit through either of them fully before, so it's going to be new to me, especially Endgame, and I know why. You will too soon, but considering the absence of Connery and the franchise spiralling in a downwards direction, I'm going to have to get over that and somehow get through them both. Again, I'm not particularly looking forward to these next 2. At least this had the bromance back in town, and some added efforts from behind the scenes to make this director's cut a tad more tolerable, even if it still doesn't exist. Now I guess it's just poor old aging Highlander Connor MacLeod that needs to somehow get me through these next 2 sequels. I promise I will try my best. So what do you all think of the first sequel to Highlander in Highlander 2 The Quickening? Firstly, director's cut like me, or the original theatrical version? Which one have you seen? And let me know your thoughts about the film and the sequel in general down in the comments. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Please leave a like, comment and subscribe if you enjoyed the review. And I'll see you on the next one.
Last stop.